Hello? Hello? Is everyone in? Is everyone in? Good, good, right. Oh, some late arrivals at the back. If you could just find a seat. Thank you. Right, sit down, stop talking. Okay, right. Hi, I'm Headley, another fat bearded man talking about records. And guess what? I have been to a shop and I have bought records, and now I am going to talk about those records. Sorry, I seem to think I'm funny. Anyway, yes, hi. My first video I ever made on the VC years and years and years ago was a trip I took out to a place called Huddersfield in West Yorkshire, up on moors, going over to, going over. It's on the top of the Pennines, Anyway, I went there to Vinyl Tap, which was my favourite record shop. And they had a massive basement full of sort of £1, £2 records, and I bought a stack of records and I showed them in my first video. Anyway, they have subsequently, unfortunately, had to close their basement, which meant they don't have all those £1 records anymore. But what they have started to do is they do what they call a pop-up shop. For those in the States, you probably haven't heard of this. I don't know, it might have come from the States. But basically, it's an empty shop. And what they do is they rent it for a week, a day, whatever, and they move a load of records in and they sell them. And they did it back about 4 months ago, and I went across and I bought a load of records, which I meant to do a video about, which I never did. So let's imagine that never happened. So this is one I went at what was it? It was actually no, it wasn't my birthday. My birthday was the Queen's funeral. That was a party like no other. Hey, brilliant. Yeah. I then went on the Tuesday to Huddersfield, to the Vinyl Tap, to their pop-up shop to check out the records they had in the £1 bins. There we go. That's the setup. There we are. Right. So that took far too long. I've got far too many records to show. I'll do it really quickly though. So anyway, right. The first one I found while I was there, all £1. Rockabillys, Sun Rockabillys, Put Your Cat Clothes On, which is a track by Carl Perkins. Compilation, great stuff. It's got Carl Perkins, Roy Orbison, Sonny Burgess, Billy Lee Riley. So really pleased to find that. First one I found, good condition. I'll say if they're not. They're all in good condition, really. Next one I found is the first album by Brewer and Shipley, down in LA, kind of folk rock. They go a bit later in their career. They went in a bit more country direction, but this is more folk rock, a bit Birdsian, I suppose. Lovely cover. Look at that, marvelous. Oh, I do like tip-on sleeves. Oh, America, you are geniuses. Look what you've done. Look at that. Yeah, bloody idiots. Sorry. Right. Actually interesting. I don't think I've ever had an A&M inner sleeve. So I was quite pleased to get that. But yeah, sleeves crap, records great. Brewer and Shipley, really pleased to find that. I think I've only got like one more of their records to get.
Make my mind up suddenly today. Something moved me to play the game again. I've been trying not to believe what my friends have said to me, but it's truly right as rain. There's another place yet to go before I lose the way. There's a woman I pray that I should see.
I was quite pleased to find a Warren Zevon. I don't have any Warren Zevon in my collection, so I was pleased to find this one. This is 1980, and it is Bad Luck Streak in Dancing School. It's got various people on it that you've all heard of. Linda Ronstadt. I believe it's got Jackson Brown, Don Henley. Don Henley. Yeah, and it's a bit too guitar wankery rock in places for me, but I like Warren Zevon, so nice to have that. I like that. Guns and ballet shoes. A double album of James Brown stuff. This is golden 30 golden hits, golden 21 golden years double album. It's really interesting to listen to that. It's I think it was released in 1977. This is a UK pressing on Polydor. Yeah, nice custom label on Polydor. And it's interesting to. I've been listening to it again in good condition. But it's interesting to hear the development because it's done chronologically. So it's sort of, I suppose it's sort of like a history of, or 20 years of the history of soul music. But very pleased that I don't have any James Brown, and considering I am called James Brown, if you ignore the Headley bit, that's silly. I'm a sucker for Tennessee Ernie Ford. He's one of those sort of country artists that was a bit pop, really. What was he had a hit with? He had a hit with 16 Tons, wasn't it, in about 1956. This is originally from it's called Gather Round, originally from 58, 59. This is, I think, a later, early 60s British repress on the World Record Club Limited label. So it's kind of orchestrated versions of folk tracks and country tunes. Probably not up everything on the street, but I love his voice. He's got a great sort of baritone. Yeah, so he does what he does, and he does it well. The buffets, Saucy Jack. Now I picked this up. I saw this again. These were all £1. I picked this up because I recognise the name Billy Childish. I don't really know much about Billy Childish. I know he does a sort of a kind of retro garage thing, but this is a kind of a super group, and I think they're called the Buffets because it's like the female version of the Buff Medways, which was one of the names he used for one of his bands. It's great. It's it's like I said, garage punk rock. I think it's from early 2000s, about 2006, I think. Then I got a trilogy of George Jones records. Got one which is unreleased material, so from early in his career, which is very nice. That's good. This is a story of different haircuts. We've got early George Jones with the buzz cut, the marine cut. Then we get into the 80s, and we get the helmet head. There we go. He is a man with many haircuts. No, 2 haircuts. This is 81, Billy Sherrill. So we're talking sort of countrypolitan. Got the Jordanaires singing on it. Yeah. So I like George Jones, and it's not brilliant, but it's George Jones, and he has got the voice. And then this is awful. Not because of George Jones, but because of the pressing or the recording. I don't know quite what it is. It's on that Magnum Group label, which is... Normally I've had no problems with the Magnum Group label. They've been quite good, but it's on a Meteor. You see that? Meteor? Yeah. Now, I'm assuming it's not the recording or the mastering or the pressing. I don't know what it is, but it sounds like it's coming from underwater. When we talk about bad pressings, that's a bad pressing. Mystery record. I picked this up because I saw a mystery Japanese record. I think I was slightly thrown by the fact that it's in a nice sort of shiny cellophane wrapper, which I kind of liked. So yeah, I had no idea what it was. I thought I'll take that home. It could be interesting. And it turned out when I put it on, it was Mussorgsky's Pictures at an Exhibition. Which is okay, because I like Pictures at an Exhibition, as long as it's not done by Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Was it Emerson, Lake and Palmer? One of that lot. Prog lot did it. But yeah, so I don't have it in my collection. So yeah, it's on Columbia, so it's not bad. It's Ravel's orchestrated version. I've been getting into medieval Renaissance music, so I was quite pleased to pick this up. Apparently, this is non-exchangeable. It's as if when you take it home and you realise how awful it sounds, they're not going to have it back. But yeah, so that's England, Be Glad. Patriotic and heroic songs. And, what does that say? And music. I couldn't read music. It looked like a W. From the Crusades to the Civil Wars. Sung and played by St. George's Canzona. There's a new word for me, a canzona. Yeah. It's okay if you like countertenors, and I like countertenors. It's kind of like that high-pitched male voice, not castrato. The Judd's greatest hits. Now, I was always been a bit down on 80s Nashville country. And many would say, and rightly so. Yeah, no, fair enough. But I've started to get to the point where actually I realised that there is some good stuff out there. And I listened to the Cocaine and Rhinestones podcast episode about the Judds, and it was fascinating. Very difficult lives they had. Naomi Judd, of course. Unfortunately, we lost Naomi Judd last year. So it's an interesting... I mean, yes, it is Nashville country from the 80s, so it's kind of what you might expect. But you've got quality writers on here. You've got Harlan Howard and Sonny Throckmorton. You've got Don Schlitz. Of course, he did The Gambler for Roger... I want to say Ted Rogers. No, you know what I mean. Think of me, Rogers. Kenny Rogers. Ted Rogers. Americans won't know who he is. Ha ha ha. Yeah, they do Don't Be Cruel, which is kind of nice. And there's a hit they'd had called John Deere Tractor, which is written by a guy called Lawrence Hammond. Psychedelic fans might be aware of a psych rock band called Mad River. And he was the main singer and songwriter in Mad River. And he went in a kind of a country direction. Yeah, so I'm pleased to get the Judds into my collection of country music, because they should be there, really, shouldn't they? This was a blind buy. I kind of recognised it. I don't know if it was the Rousseau painting that I knew. But it's kind of folky stuff. It's called Tom... hang on. Pirazzolo. No, you can read it. You can read it there. Pirazzoli. I'm not very good at pronouncing. like a typical Brit. I'm not very good at foreign names. Yeah, it's folky guitar, bit of auto harp piano, kind of very 80s. And this is from 87, something like that. Yeah, it's nice. I need to give it a good better listen though. One of the things I always find at the Vinyl Tap is some sort of interesting bluegrass stuff. This is On the Road, the McLean Family Band. They're from Kentucky, I think. And this is not strictly bluegrass, but it's definitely, I mean, you can see what they're playing. It certainly looks folky, but it's more sort of old-timey country. But yeah, very pleased to find something like that.
Today has been a lonesome day. Today has been a long, lonesome day. Today has been a lonesome day. And tomorrow's gonna be the same old way.
This was a bit of a kind of a blind buy. It looked interesting. Boogalooza Gumbo by Pete Sayers. Signed copy apparently as well. There we go. It should have been a giveaway actually. It's produced by John D. Loudermilk, who, for those of you might know, he wrote Tobacco Road. He was also the cousin of the Louvin brothers. Because the Louvin brothers, their real name was Loudermilk. There you go. You come here for records, you get a bit of information as well. So yeah, I didn't realise this is a UK country artist. And his voice is not great. There's some nice arrangements, but it's, yeah, from what it could have been, Boogalooza Gumbo, yeah, could have been great. I mean, it's not, I kind of like the packaging is one up for most UK country, but of course he's gone across to the States and recorded this in Bogalusa, Louisiana. There's even a recipe for gumbo, basic gumbo. Yeah, that was disappointment. Disappointing. Not disappointing was this. This is Don Reno of Reno and Smiley. He was the fastest 5 strings alive. This is on the Starday label. Actually on the Gusto label, which is their kind of repress label. I mean, Starday was pretty cheap. Gusto is their cheap label. I kind of like the bottom where it's got the all their different imprints, which is kind of cool. I like that. So yeah, Don Reno, bluegrass. Right, then, the stars of the show, as it were. I was over the moon to find these 2 records. And that is Tony Joe White's first album, Black and White. And Tony Joe White's second album, Continued. So this is from 69, and this is from, could have been from 70. I don't know. But yeah. UK pressing, you can tell they're UK pressings because of the shininess of the laminated Tony Joe White. For £1, I couldn't believe that they're in such good condition. I mean, they're not perfect. They're probably very, very, very good plus, maybe. Very good. But they've cleaned up very nicely, so I was over the moon to find those. So it was worth going just for those. But there's one more record I got, and that is Lackey and Sweeney, Junk Store Songs for Sale. Now, I knew nothing about this, blind buy, but I saw it was on the, was it the Village Thing label? You can see that, which calls itself the Alternative Folk label. It's also distributed by Transatlantic. This is from 1973, so anything that's from 1973 looks a bit folky. The back has them in a VW camper van. We've got a bit of bring auto harp. Has got to be picked up. Anyway, apparently it's quite sought after. Oh yeah, sorry, the Village Thing label. I knew that label because Dave Allen and Wiz Jones released albums on that, so I was aware of the type of albums they did. So yeah, apparently it's quite sought after. So I was pleased to find that for £1, and it's in good condition. Unfortunately, the first track on the second side has a little bit of a tick for the first half, which is annoying. But apart from that, it's fine. Anyway, there you go. That was my trip to Huddersfield. Generally fine, generally good. I liked it. I had a good time. I went to the pub with my girlfriend Louise afterwards, and I gave her a showing of all these records. In fact, it was kind of like this. I went through them like this and bored her stiff, much like I have done with you. Anyway, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I will inevitably be back. Until then, bye-bye for now. Wave hand at the camera.